Today on Unscripted, Democratic Congressman Emanuel Cleaver beclowns himself by ending a televised prayer with the phrase, Amen and Awoman. Also, a young millennial loses her shit on an elevator due to a mask dispute. Honestly, it's simply a funny video to watch. All this and more here on RFX.
Dance like there's no tomorrow.
Alright, so I'd like to take a quick look here at this story which has been making the rounds on social media a bit. And it's of the Democratic representative from Missouri, a guy named Emanuel Cleaver, who ended his prayer for the opening session of Congress with Amen and Awoman.
We ask it in the name of the monotheistic God, Brahma, and God known by many names, by many different faiths. A man and a woman.
Obviously, the critique, which everybody has already mentioned, is that the word Amen has literally nothing to do with gender whatsoever. It's an ancient Hebrew word, and actually even before that, I believe it originally derives from ancient Egyptian. We're talking about a word that is thousands of years old, and so the letter combination of M-E-N appears in lots of words. How about the word menstruate, right? The first three letters are M-E-N, but obviously menstruation has nothing to do with men. It's just a combination of letters that has nothing to do with gender. And so this complete fucking muppet decided that he was going to make a gender issue out of the word amen. My analysis of this story here is that this guy needs to be fired from Congress immediately. You might ask, well, why is that? Why does he need to be fired? Just because he said all men and all women? Just because he's like this progressive? No, it doesn't have anything to do with that. It has nothing to do with that. Him saying this speaks volumes as to his true character. You don't want this guy to be a congressman. You don't want him to have any official position where he is responsible for other people. This guy, I don't know what job he's worthy of doing, but it is definitely not as a representative. And here's why. I can think of no redeeming motivation for him saying this. So let's run through a list of possible motivations for this guy to end his prayer with Amen and Awoman. The first motivation is that he actually believes in this shit. He's actually that indoctrinated into the cult of wokeness, that he actually thinks that he's being clever and progressive and smart when he says this. If that's the case, then he's literally a cult member and a dangerous human being. So he should not be in Congress. That's motivation one, but I don't think that's what it is. The second one is that it was just it was an incidence of virtue signaling of the highest order, right? Look how virtuous I am. It had nothing to do with actual prayer or, showing one's devotion to God or anything like that. If that's the case, then he's a person of very low moral standing, and you don't want to have him anywhere near Congress. That's the second option. The third option is that he knew exactly how stupid this was and how incorrect it was, but he did it anyway because he knew it would make headlines. Because he knew it would become a viral video, that he knew that it would get his name out there to the public. Because prior to this day, I'd never heard of Emanuel Cleaver before. Most people probably haven't. Even people in Missouri have probably never heard of Emanuel Cleaver before. But now they have. And if that was his objective, that's not a person that you want to be your representative in Congress. So yet again, kick him the fuck out of Congress. Get him the fuck out of there, because he does not belong in that house. And don't get me wrong, he's not the only one. I mean, I would say probably 90+% of the people in Congress needed to get booted out today, right? I mean, I know that's not going to happen, but to be honest, if it were a better world, that's exactly what would happen. And this guy's definitely in that bundle of people who need to get the boot gone. He's out of Congress. If he wants to, restock vending machines for a living, fine. Maybe he won't do any harm to anybody in that job. But he's definitely a dangerous person to have in Congress, because he's either a craven, morally depraved piece of shit, or he's an idiot, or he's a cult member. Either way, you don't want this guy anywhere near anything of responsibility. And yet here he is. He won't get fired. He'll probably get reelected. And so we come to the point that's the actual problem. It isn't so much that people like Emanuel Cleaver are just stupid and whatever else. It's the fact that we seem to live in a system that rewards his behavior. And so if we live in a system that rewards behavior like his, whether it be cynical self-interest, craven, bullshit, idiocy, whatever it is, well then we're just gonna get more and more ridiculous people in levels of authority. And also, just one thing, this guy's Awoman thing comes on top of another proposal, I think, by Nancy Pelosi for House rules. So any word that has a gender specificity to it, like daughter or son, needs to be replaced by child, or if it's a mother, father, needs to be replaced by parent. So we need to get rid of all gender specific things. This is absolute lunacy. We all know it's lunacy. We all know it. I don't care who you are, what side of the political divide you're on, somewhere deep down, whether you admit it to yourself or not, you know that this is absolute lunacy and it needs to stop, because there are other issues facing the country right now. Other issues facing the world right now. There are tectonic shifts occurring within the geopolitical landscape all around the world right now that are going to have a very, very direct consequence on your life and the lives of your loved ones and the rest of the country and people all around the world that are going to be taking place over the next few years. And this is what we're spending our time on? There's something about the identity politics game, which is the equivalent of someone flicking you in the forehead. You can't ignore it. It's incredibly annoying and you just can't let it go. And so we all just get distracted by it. Meanwhile, all these other really important things, what be they economic or geopolitical or whatever else, are occurring all around the world that have the very real potential to impact your life in a really big way. Transfers of wealth, power, etc. And instead, we're all fretting over this total bullshit. So it's almost as if this was by design. I don't mean to sound like a conspiracy theorist, even though I love conspiracy theories, but nevertheless, you would almost think that this is like the greatest magic trick slash circus that's ever been devised, and it's just got everybody looking over here while the real stuff is going on over there. And so, who knows? I mean, who knows? But that's all I could say. Alright, so here's a quick video of a couple of young women who I guess were in the elevator together. One woman either worked or lived in the building that the elevator was in, I'm not sure, and the other woman was a delivery person, and apparently these two young women got into a bit of a fight with each other because the young woman who lived in the building thought that the delivery woman wasn't wearing her mask properly, like she was wearing it askew or she was wearing it too low or whatever else, and she was upset about the possibility of a delivery person spreading COVID-19. And so the delivery girl, she busts out her phone, of course, and starts filming this interaction, catching this other young woman having a complete nervous breakdown and flipping the fuck out. Let's just take a quick look at this video here.
You are a delivery person incorrectly wearing the mask inside of a big building.
Is this incorrectly worn, guys? Is this incorrectly worn?
It wasn't like that the whole fucking time.
Clearly, if women ruled the world, there would be no war, right? Because women never lose their shit. As you can clearly see in this video, there would be no strife in a world ruled by women. Absolutely not. Everybody get along. Everyone would collaborate. It'd be a freaking utopia if women ruled the world. You can tell that automatically by looking at this video. I honestly think there would actually be about 10 times as many wars if women exclusively ruled the world, although it would be fair to say that the majority of the fighting and dying would still be done by men, but that's just my educated guess. You know, what can I say? I don't know. But this video is clearly just, once again, just people flipping out. And I'm gonna go back to the point I made in my last video, which is that people don't freaking like each other. Like, do you know what human beings, like, if we were still just animals running around in the forest right now, we would have like a little tribe, so to speak, right? We'd have like a little grouping of people with like 50 or less people in it. And if you saw anyone outside of that group, you'd probably wind up having a fight to the death. That's what human beings are wired to do. When you see a stranger, your brain is actually wired to be like, who is this person? Is it possibly a threat? I better kill them before they kill me. That I know that sounds crazy, but literally, if we were still just animals running around in the forest right now, that's how we would behave. And you can see that in this video. These two women, my god, if they ran into each other in the jungle, Lord of the Flies style, one of them would not leave the encounter alive. But that's the world we live in, you know? God love it. It's a wonderful, wonderful world. Alright, I think that does it for today, everybody. If you liked the video, or even if you disliked, even if you hated it, do the right thing and like, share, and subscribe. Just do it. Right now. Alright, we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.